What if I told you that 1 tablespoon, yes, just 1 tablespoon before bed could radically change the way your body rebuilds, repairs, and restores itself while you sleep? Most people underestimate the biological power of sleep. We think of it as simply rest, a passive state where we unplug from the day. But nothing could be further from the truth. Sleep is one of the most metabolically active and regenerative times for the human body, especially when it comes to muscle repair. The hours between when your head hits the pillow and when you rise again are filled with silent but crucial biochemical activity. In fact, this is when the body enters a peak anabolic state. That means it's not just recovering, it's rebuilding. During sleep, especially in the early stages of deep sleep, what we call slow wave sleep, levels of growth hormone surge. This hormone is essential for tissue repair, muscle building, fat metabolism, and cellular restoration. Alongside it, testosterone and other anabolic hormones also rise, further priming the body for regeneration. But here's the critical point: no matter how high these hormones spike, they're almost useless if the raw material isn't present. And by raw material, we mean amino acids, the building blocks of muscle tissue. If the body doesn't have access to amino acids during the night, it can't carry out the repair process effectively. It's like having a construction crew ready to work but no bricks or cement to build with. This is where timing and nutrient availability become essential. The body doesn't pause its repair process just because you didn't eat. It adapts. And one of the ways it adapts is by breaking down your own muscle tissue to access amino acids. So, while you're sleeping, instead of building muscle, your body might actually be tearing it down to feed itself. This is especially true in older adults whose bodies become less efficient at muscle protein synthesis. As we age, not only do we lose muscle mass more quickly, but our sensitivity to dietary protein also declines. The window for intervention becomes narrower, and the need for strategic nutrient timing becomes more urgent. Physically inactive 65-year-old doesn't have the same muscle building machinery as a 25-year-old, but that doesn't mean it's too late. It just means we have to be smarter. What happens if we supply the body with a slow digesting protein source right before bed? We change the equation by providing a consistent, slow release stream of amino acids, such as from casein protein or cottage cheese. We give the body the exact tools it needs to maximize the repair processes it's already trying to perform. Now, those hormonal surges during deep sleep have the substrate they need to do their job effectively. It's not about eating more. It's about eating smarter. By aligning nutrient intake with the body's natural rhythms, feeding it when it's most capable of rebuilding, we can unlock healing and regeneration without effort. Just 1 tablespoon of protein before bed isn't just a habit, it's a precise intervention in one of the most underutilized windows for recovery. There's a fundamental difference between fast-acting and slow-digesting proteins, and understanding this difference can transform the way we think about nutrition, especially during sleep. When we consume protein, our body doesn't store amino acids the way it stores fat or carbohydrates. Instead, we depend on a steady supply, particularly during periods of repair and growth, like sleep. The type of protein we consume directly impacts how long amino acids remain available in the bloodstream. That's where casein stands out. Casein is the primary protein found in dairy. It behaves very differently from whey or plant-based proteins. When consumed, casein forms a gel-like substance in the stomach. This slows gastric emptying and creates a prolonged release of amino acids into the bloodstream over several hours, often up to 7. It's not just about providing protein, it's about providing the right protein at the right time. Imagine a steady drip irrigation system versus a sudden downpour. Whey protein acts like that downpour: rapid absorption, spike in amino acids, then a quick drop. That's useful after a workout when the body's in an acute recovery state. But during sleep, you don't need a spike. You need a gentle, sustained release, something that will quietly support the body hour after hour while you rest. Casein does exactly that. Scientific studies have shown that when individuals consume casein protein before bed, their muscle protein synthesis remains elevated throughout the night. This is particularly beneficial for those who are older, recovering from injury, or in a muscle building phase. And the beauty of it is in its simplicity. You don't need a complex supplement routine or expensive powders. 1 tablespoon of casein protein, or even a small serving of cottage cheese, is enough to deliver this benefit. The night hours are often nutritionally neglected. Most people eat dinner and then fast for 10 to 12 hours until breakfast. That's a long window without protein. For someone who is aging, exercising regularly, or trying to recover from illness or stress, this extended fasting period can be a missed opportunity. During that time, if amino acids are not available, the body turns to muscle tissue to fill the gap. That means even while you sleep, muscle can be breaking down unless you intervene. A small dose of casein before bed protects that muscle. It preserves lean mass. It supports the natural repair mechanisms that are already working hard while you rest. You're not forcing the body to do something unnatural. You're aligning with what it's designed to do. And that's the key. It's easy to overlook small changes like this. 1 tablespoon doesn't seem like much. But when it's the right nutrient, taken at the right time, it can make a significant difference, not just in how you feel the next morning, but in your long-term strength, recovery, and resilience. This is the kind of habit that compounds over time, quietly, powerfully, consistently. As we age, one of the most silent yet devastating processes in the body is the gradual decline of muscle mass. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's part of what makes it so dangerous. We don't notice it until it starts affecting our daily function. This process is known as sarcopenia. It begins as early as our 30s. Most people lose around 3–8% of their muscle mass per decade after 30, and the rate accelerates significantly after the age of 60. But here's the critical insight. This isn't just about looking strong. It's about staying alive, staying mobile, and staying independent. Muscle isn't just tissue that moves the body. It acts as a reservoir of amino acids, regulates glucose metabolism, supports posture, and protects the joints and bones. When muscle begins to waste away, the consequences are systemic. Blood sugar regulation worsens, balance becomes unstable, bones become vulnerable, immune function weakens, and falls become more frequent, with each one carrying potentially life-altering outcomes. So the question becomes, can we slow this process down? The answer is yes, and nutrition plays a central role. After the age of 60, the body becomes far less sensitive to protein intake. That means the same meal that stimulated muscle repair at age 30 barely moves the needle at 65. This is known as anabolic resistance. It's not a flaw, it's a shift in physiology that requires a smarter strategy. One of the most effective ways to address this is through timing. Providing a high-quality protein source before bed offers the aging body what it needs when it's most efficient at recovery. During deep sleep, this is when muscle repair can still occur, but only if the amino acids are available. Without them, the body begins to break down its own muscle for fuel, especially during long periods without food, like the overnight fast. By consuming a slow digesting protein such as casein, found in dairy products like cottage cheese, you can supply a steady stream of amino acids throughout the night. This directly combats muscle breakdown and supports muscle protein synthesis even during sleep. That 1 tablespoon of casein or small serving of cottage cheese becomes a powerful tool against the erosion of strength and mobility. This small intervention has large implications. It's not just about gaining muscle. It's about preserving it. It's about maintaining the ability to get out of a chair unassisted, walk confidently without fear of falling, continue enjoying the activities that define a meaningful life. Addressing muscle loss with strategic nighttime protein intake isn't just a tactic, it's a necessity. Especially for those over 60, it's one of the simplest, most evidence-based ways to protect longevity, autonomy, and vitality. It requires no medication, no clinic visit, just awareness and a tablespoon of action before bed. There's a profound principle in medicine and health: small actions, when done consistently, often yield the biggest results. This is especially true when we talk about long-term health interventions. In fact, what might look like a trivial habit, such as taking 1 tablespoon of protein before bed, can represent a much deeper shift in how we treat and support the body. This nightly habit is not just a nutritional tweak, it's a reflection of mindset, discipline, and self-respect. The average person doesn't think twice about skipping dinner, going to bed after a long day, or eating whatever is convenient without considering how it impacts muscle recovery. But when you intentionally decide to take one small step to support your body's natural healing processes, it speaks volumes. That tablespoon becomes a symbol. It means you understand how the body works. It means you value your health enough to take preventative action. And most importantly, it means you're taking ownership of the one thing we often ignore until it's gone: physical strength and independence. This habit is quiet. It doesn't draw attention. No one celebrates you for it. But over time, it creates a foundation. it builds momentum. And as the weeks and months pass, the cumulative effects begin to show. Sleep feels more restorative. Morning soreness begins to fade. Strength holds steady even in your 50s, 60s, and beyond. Energy improves not because of a stimulant, but because the body is functioning as it was designed to, repairing, recovering, maintaining its integrity. And the deeper message is this: when you choose to nourish your body at night, you're honoring a process that most people let run on autopilot. You're aligning your habits with your biology. Sleep is not a passive activity. It's a powerful tool for recovery. Pairing it with a steady supply of amino acids is like fueling a machine right before it enters its most efficient operating window. This one small act can change how you approach health in other areas too. You start to recognize how little things matter, how consistency outweighs intensity, how one glass of water, one walk, one tablespoon of protein each night can be more impactful than a weekend of extremes. It builds confidence, it builds routine, it builds resilience. There's something empowering about knowing you don't need a massive overhaul to start improving your body. You just need to start. One habit, one decision, one tablespoon. Not because it's trendy, but because it's backed by physiology and because it sends a clear signal to your body and to your future that you're not giving up on strength, energy, or vitality. This isn't about chasing perfection. It's about building a foundation, one small act at a time, that leads to something much greater than the habit itself. That tablespoon. It's a commitment. Commitments, when honored daily, change lives. We often assume that effective health interventions must be complicated, expensive, or time-consuming. But that assumption overlooks one of the most powerful truths in medicine. Some of the most transformative changes are simple, accessible, and remarkably low cost. One tablespoon of a slow-digesting protein before bed isn't flashy. It doesn't come with fancy packaging or a celebrity endorsement, but it taps into something far more important: basic human physiology, and uses it to our advantage in a way that's sustainable and smart. Think about how often people invest in gym memberships, supplements, meal plans, or detoxes in pursuit of health. Yet many of these methods fail not because they're ineffective, but because they're hard to maintain. Complexity leads to burnout, cost leads to inconsistency, and the moment something becomes difficult to integrate into daily life, it's abandoned. That's where the real value of simplicity emerges. What we're talking about here is not a major life overhaul. It's the addition of a single, affordable, easy to implement step: taking 1 tablespoon of casein protein or a small serving of cottage cheese before going to sleep. That's it. No prep time, no disruption to your routine. Just a decision to give your body what it needs during its most important recovery window, and the science is there to support it. Casein protein is relatively inexpensive, widely available, easy to digest. Cottage cheese, an everyday grocery item, offers similar benefits. These are not exotic foods or luxury supplements. They're functional tools that deliver a slow and steady release of amino acids into the bloodstream throughout the night. And that's what makes this habit so sustainable. Anyone can do it, anywhere, at any age. No matter your health status, fitness level, or dietary preference, there's likely a way to incorporate this into your lifestyle. The broader implication here is that this habit can serve as a gateway. When people see that something so small can actually make a difference, they feel more energized in the morning, their muscles recover faster, their strength is preserved. It builds trust in the process, trust in their ability to improve. And that confidence leads to more healthy choices, not because someone told them to, but because they've experienced the benefit firsthand. This is how sustainable health changes are born, not through extremes, but through the layering of simple, effective habits. The tablespoon becomes a daily ritual, and that ritual becomes a foundation. Over time, it can shift the trajectory of aging. It can preserve muscle, prevent frailty, enhance quality of life in ways that are difficult to measure with numbers, but obvious in lived experience. There's a quiet power in simple, consistent action. This is one of those moments where science and practicality meet. No complexity, no cost barrier. Just one small choice repeated each night that can protect your strength and well-being for years to come. Muscle is often seen as something cosmetic, associated with bodybuilders or athletes. But in reality, it is one of the most essential tissues for maintaining vitality, function, and freedom throughout life. It is not simply about physical appearance. Muscle plays a direct role in metabolic health, balance, bone density, insulin sensitivity, immune response, and even cognitive function. And yet, many people allow this vital tissue to quietly erode over time, unaware of the profound impact it has on every aspect of daily life. That's why protecting and nourishing muscle, especially during sleep, is so critically important. Sleep is not just a time of rest. It's a window of opportunity. During the night, the body prioritizes repair and restoration. Hormonal activity shifts, inflammation is modulated, tissues undergo maintenance. For muscle, this is when the real rebuilding happens, provided the necessary raw materials are available. Without protein, the body is left without the building blocks it needs to perform this essential overnight work. That's why consuming a slow, digesting protein source before bed, such as a tablespoon of casein or a serving of cottage cheese, can make such a meaningful difference. When the body has access to amino acids throughout the night, it doesn't just maintain muscle, it enhances recovery. This leads to better energy levels during the day, improved physical performance, greater resilience in the face of physical or emotional stress. It also supports stable blood sugar, reduced risk of insulin resistance, and better mitochondrial function, which directly impacts longevity. Over time, these small advantages compound. The person who feeds their muscles at night doesn't just feel stronger, they move more confidently. They climb stairs without pain. They get up from chairs without hesitation. They stay independent longer. That translates to freedom, freedom to live actively, freedom from dependence on others, freedom to enjoy family, hobbies, and the simple pleasures of life without fear of fragility. And this isn't limited to younger people or athletes. In fact, the older you are, the more impactful this habit becomes. As muscle building efficiency declines with age, the timing and type of protein consumed can mean the difference between maintaining strength or facing rapid decline. Becomes less about building and more about preserving what's already there, which, in the context of aging, is just as valuable. That 1 tablespoon of protein before bed is not just a nutritional act, it's a way of investing in your future, not in a dramatic or time-consuming way, but in a practical, sustainable way that respects the body's rhythms and supports its repair mechanisms. It's a simple act that yields compounding returns in strength, stability, energy, and autonomy. Ultimately, muscle is not a luxury. It's a necessity for a vibrant, long life. And supporting its recovery during sleep is one of the most efficient ways to secure that vitality. A small change, made consistently, that protects one of the body's most critical assets. That's the kind of decision that echoes far beyond the night.